I was standing on my front step in Austin heat with a grocery bag and my scrubs still smelling like the ER when a black SUV rolled up. My 3 7-year-olds hopped out like they'd just won a mission, and behind them a man in a tailored suit sat tied to my old wheelchair, wrists looped with my garage jump rope shoes, scuffed hair a little wild, and before the neighbors could even part the curtains, I knew that face. Yeah, that happened. And my daughter Ava chin high, like a tiny general, said, "Mom, we found our dad." And the man looked up, green eyes stunned but soft, and said, "Layla, long time." And I set the groceries down, because my hands were shaking. Because once upon a younger, dumber year, I thought that man and I were headed for forever. And then I saw him in a kitchen, with another woman's mouth on his. And I never waited for the second sentence, never listened. I ran, changed my number, moved across the country, did my residency, and when I discovered I was pregnant with 3, I told myself I didn't need a man who could shatter me that fast. I built a life with both hands stitched. Shifts, paid rent, learned to smile through parent-teacher nights, while strangers measured me like a warning signs. Complicated the single mom with the Marine brother showing up for Dad's and Mentors Day. You know what I mean? The thing about hurricanes is they grow smart. They grow loud. They can smell a secret. And that week, the kids came home tight-faced from school because a girl named Paige said we weren't a real family. So my 3 staged an emergency meeting on our couch. Ava with a self-made bun and a law degree in her eyes. Nico with that tender storm he gets when he's almost crying, but too proud. Eli tapping a pencil like a tiny professor. Mom, we're 7. We want the truth no more. Later, we want our dad at Dad's and Mentors Day on Friday. And I said it isn't that simple. And Ava said, "Please stop saying complicated, use simple words." And if I were the hero who always tells the truth, I would have given them the whole messy story right then. But grief has muscle memory. Mine pulled me back. "Go to your rooms. We'll talk when you're older." And they went quiet, which, if you've ever met a child, is the siren before the storm. While I pulled a double at St. David's, they FaceTimed my best friend Aunt Tasha, who swore years ago never to crack the vault of my past. And between Ava's velvet menace, Nico's glassy eyes, and Eli, declaring their mental health in jeopardy, Tasha lasted 6 minutes and whispered his name, Jackson Hale, which is how my kids discovered their father wasn't just a man, he was a headline founder of Hale Dynamics. The self-driving everything guy with the charcoal suit and the grin made for magazines. There were photos. There was a podcast where he said he eats at Marlowe's Trattoria every Wednesday at 12:30, and though it was Tuesday, my kids decided patience was a problem. For tomorrow, they called Uncle Drew, my brother, the Marine who will do anything for those kids, including apparently assist in a misdemeanor with a moral cause they drove downtown. Drew pretended to faint in the alley behind Marlowe's. Ava ran in breathless to a table where a man ate alone and said, "Our dad collapsed, please." Jackson followed without a question, because money doesn't subtract humanity. He knelt in rosemary-scented heat and checked a pulse, and while he was counting, Ava pressed a peppermint cloth to his nose for a breath, and he sagged. Not chloroform, but let me tell you, I lectured her for a month that you cannot buy a felony at Whole Foods, and that is how a billionaire ended up tied to my wheelchair on my porch while I tried not to pass out from history. I should have called 911. I should have cut the ropes and told him to run. But his eyes landed on mine with an apology. I could feel in my ribs, and he whispered, "I didn't know," and I said, "I never told you." And Ava stepped between us like a ref, ancient adult drama later business. Now you are. Jackson Hale, we are Ava, Nico, and Eli Carter. Dad's and Mentors Day is Friday. And we expect your presence also. Here's a schedule. And Eli handed him a color-coded grid like we were onboarding a CEO to family life. And Jackson looked at me over paper like a man realizing the market he misread is his own heart. He showed up the next 3 nights at 6 on the dot. Turned off the corporate hurricane by 5:59. Rolled his sleeves and learned our house which plates go where, how Eli wants his carrots lined in neat rows. And Nico likes bedtime voices low, and Ava will renegotiate everything until you admire the audacity. Even as you hold the line, he told them about a goat wandering onto a testing range and refusing to be disrupted by innovation. They told him about Paige calling them fake family, and Uncle Drew not a real dad, and the way that word real can cut like a broken bottle. And I watched Jackson's face go bright and hard, in that way it used to when he'd stand between me and mean things, the part I loved, before everything cracked. On Wednesday, he helped with a solar system that needed more glitter than God ever requested. And later at my sink, I said it plain, I left because I saw you with her because it broke something. I didn't know how to repair, and he took it. Like a man takes a wound, steady, said, she kissed me. It was sloppy and stupid, and I shoved her away when my brain caught up. I kept calling you, never answered. And then he looked at 3 small people arguing whether Saturn's rings should be gold or silver, and swallowed whatever else pride wanted to say. Thursday, we negotiated boundaries, like adults who pay their bills with truth, no gifts, the size of cars, no secret phones, no security detail, scaring the mailman, navy suit for Friday, white shirt, no tie because ties belong in boardrooms, not finger painting, and he nodded to all of it like a penitent who knows the payment due. Friday. He pulled up in one dark sedan that only car nerds would clock, stepped out steady, and my kids each grabbed a hand. Eli tucked himself between them like a question mark that just found its answer. We walked into the school, and the air shifted, heads turned, Paige froze mid-whisper. Her dad blinked like the sun came in sideways, and Jackson bent to her eye level. Hey there, I'm Jackson. And when she said Mr. Hale, he said Jackson is fine, then turned to my kids and said just loud enough for the front row, I'm proud to be your dad, and it hit me like a door unlocking from the inside. During the assembly, Ava took the mic because of course and announced, this is our dad, he's late but he's here now. We accept interest payments in quality time. The room laughed. Some people got it, some didn't. A teacher with kind eyes winked at me like, welcome to the other side. And after cupcakes and glue that will never leave his sleeve, we stood by the car and he said, my name's simple, Layla, and I said, we're not fixed, you don't reset 7 years in one good week, and he said, I know I can't change yesterday, I can change every tomorrow I'm alive for, and I said, you're engaged, and he said, was as of last night because of this, and because it was wrong, I've been wrong a lot, and I felt something in me loosen that I'd been holding so tight it cut. The months after were not a clean montage. They were loud and sticky and real. The kids tested him like a fire drill. He missed a board vote because a science fair volcano erupted on our rug, and Nico sobbed that chemistry ruined love, and Jackson sat on the floor with paper towels and said, you cannot ruin what love is strong enough to lift. We told the truth in age-appropriate pieces about misunderstanding and apology. We practiced the quiet bravery of not running, and the adversaries stayed noisy. Paige's mom cornered me in a parking lot. With must be nice that he remembered you exist, and I could have razored her with a line, but I said it is nice, and it's nicer for my kids that I never forgot who I am sometimes. Victory isn't the last word, it's refusing to spend your peace on a petty bill. We did end up marrying on a hill country ranch, kids in Converse. Uncle Drew crying into a handkerchief that said, don't ask, vows that read less like romance and more like a contract. We can hold up when mornings get mean, yes to the boring Tuesdays, Yes to scary Thursdays. Yes to showing up when the math says this problem is impossible, and still life leaves a thread loose on purpose. A week later, he got an offer to move the company to California, money and status, that would change the speed of everything. Ava wants the adventure. Eli wants the data. Nico looks at me because he reads my weather better than I do. We haven't decided. Maybe we won't. Maybe the choice gets made for us by the weight of the life we built here. People argue about the peppermint cloth. Kidnapping is kidnapping Layla, and they're not wrong. People argue about whether I punished him enough for the half second. In that Atlanta kitchen, people argue about what a real family is and who gets to judge one good argue. Because here's where I land, and you can throw tomatoes if you want. Showing up is the currency of love. If you didn't have it before, earn it now. If you had it and dropped it, pick it back up. If you never learned how, ask for a map. The kids forced a door open with the worst method and the best intention. The adults learned to walk through without breaking the frame. That is the win, that is the ride. And now I want to hear. You were my kids' heroes for forcing the conversation. Or did they cross a line you can't defend? Was I right to hold the truth until I could trust the ground? Or did pride talk louder than love? What did you live? In your own house or at your kids' school that changed how you see fathers and mothers and the word real? Drop it in the comments. Push back, agree, disagree. Tell the truth like it costs something because it does. And I'll be reading.